this is a continuation of, what we've been doing since January. But, we went out on the practice field today. I love the energy, the enthusiasm. There's an incredible want to. Look, I'll tell you, they want to change the narrative. They want to be a championship team, and they know it takes hard work. It takes a commitment. And this was one practice towards that. So I would say, from my perspective, it's what we've seen from the guys in terms of great energy, a real incredible, I would say, attention to all the little things that we've asked in meetings, on time, and that's a big thing for us right now. So, we got to learn how to practice. It's different for them. They're learning me and how I want to practice, but it's not because they're not giving us everything. So, it's what I would have hoped for, a group that is eager to learn. And then I will say that their conditioning level, Jake Flint and his staff have done an incredible job. We run a drill called 88s, which is a high tempo, 8 plays with the first group, 8 plays with the second. And on the first day, generally, you get guys that are, bent over, huffing and puffing, and there was none of that. So that's a real indication of their conditioning level and that staff getting them ready for spring practice. So that's my opening. I'll take questions from there. Yeah. I can hear you. I can hear you. If you'd like to use the microphone. Oh, you're recording it. Got it. Sorry. I'll get this down after my 32nd year. I'll figure it out.
Brian Wilson-Alexander with The Advocate. The part that we were able to see, you're kind of seemed like walking around, taking notes. Is that just sort of the process that you like to, or sort of like what you like to do during practice, sort of see everything and write down what you're seeing? Is that sort of how you go about doing it?
Yeah, I think today in particular, there are things that I like to be done from a management standpoint too. So, getting all the things managed on the field the right way with our student managers, equipment, medical staff. Those things are important to me as well, and the way things are laid out from period to period. And then within the drills themselves and making sure that they're the right coaching points. So, but generally I'm moving around the practice. I tend to probably go 70-30 offense to defense, and that's just the way I've always kind of coached is a little bit more on the offensive side, but generally taking notes and much more about a bigger picture. Today I'll always spend a little bit of time. I don't know if you saw in the middle there, we have a tent where we have live GPS numbers. I like to check the player loads during the practice and get a better sense of, what their load is, how fast they're running, and keep a tempo of that as well.
Hey, Coach. Shea Dixon with 24/7. You've talked about addressing some needs through the portal and some positions that you still would like to address, but as you kind of went through that evaluation process, were there some positions, or are there now, that you did feel good about? You liked kind of the guys or the depth you had?
Oh, yeah. There's a number of positions. I think the wide receiver position has great depth. Certainly the defensive line has great depth. I think we've created some great competition at quarterback. I think that there's some, clearly opportunities for us to, if things move in the right direction, be really strong at corner. I think there's some depth at safety. And then the running back position, although there might be some uncertainty, at this point, if you look at the guys that were suiting up there today and then what we've got coming, I think we've got some really good depth there. So I think across the board, you want to continue to develop, as I mentioned earlier, the offensive line and tight end position. I think we're still looking at, how we're going to play that outside backer position, that nickel Sam. That right now, I don't know that needs to be addressed through the portal. That's really internal. But those would considerably, for me, be strengths of our football team.
Hey, Coach, what do you like about Coach Sloan and the way he coaches the quarterbacks, and what does he bring to the table in that regard?
Well, there's a lot of things I like about Coach Sloan. I think specifically, he's look, this is so much about how you talk and how you communicate. And, that position, requires incredibly detailed communication because they are, obviously, running your offense. They got the ball in their hand. And so, you need somebody that is really good at certainly the big picture offensively and understanding what we're trying to accomplish. But he really has to do a great job of building relationships. You've got to be able to trust him. And, he just is a guy that has that kind of character, and the kids will trust him because of who he is as a person.
Hey, Coach, Cookie Riley from the Daily Advertiser. I was curious as to which of the incoming freshmen have sort of stood out to you, not just today, but I was trying to ask you this question earlier, but I was just sort of curious about that.
The freshmen that came in early, well, I think, the guys that, physically have really caught our, Will Campbell, the offensive lineman, is just a beast. I mean, physically, he has the makeup physically to compete, in his first year. Will he? I couldn't tell you right now. It's too early to tell. But, the way he's kind of shown himself in the weight room, he has the physical traits to compete early on. I'm not here to, pound the table for him that he's ready to start. But physically, he doesn't look like a normal freshman offensive lineman coming in. So that's one guy that kind of stands out to me. Walker obviously is a talented freshman quarterback. But again, we're talking about championship level football, and you need a little bit of experience, for that. So when I talk about some of these guys, they're very, very talented. But you're comparing them to Alabama, A&M, great football teams with experienced players. So that's the difference.
Coach Mike Scarborough with TigerBait.com. Talk about the sense of urgency and the pace that was out there today. It was really at a higher level than we've seen in the past. But how much is that scripted beforehand, and do you have an idea before you even get out there how much you're wanting to get in each period? And also Walker Howard throwing with the thumb. Did y'all expect him back and be able to throw this early?
Yeah, so tempo, as I don't know if you guys know, but we were out there for 90 minutes, and I like to get a lot of work done in a short period of time. I don't think you need to be out there for 2-3 hours. I think you can get your work done, and I want to do it with high energy. I love intensity through repetition. I think it's the best way to learn, and creating that environment has been really good. Look, everybody's got really good players. I think it's about preparation, and this has been, for me, a way to prepare our football team for Saturday. So, yeah, a lot of that is already scripted. A lot of that is already built into the way we practice. I do all the practice schedules to, create that for the coaches, and then they just coach their positions accordingly. As it relates to Walker, it's interesting. He had the surgery, and he's incredible in terms of how he just, even during spring break, he stayed here. He didn't go on spring break. He stayed here, did rehab. And, we're the smartest guys in the world as coaches. We got him ready. His arm's great. But, he's got this surgery on, kind of the fatty part of his thumb. And our cadence is a clap. Well, he's clapping and he's wincing every time. We weren't smart enough to think that maybe he should use a verbal cadence. So we made that change today. He was verbal after he said, "Coach, that really hurts." So he's done a really good job of coming back, and we're not that smart. Anything else? Yes.
Scott Rappelay from The Advocate. You talk a lot about accountability and consistency of effort and stuff like that. What has your experience taught you that what players, college players, want in terms of that? How much do they want that? Do they seek that out? That they want someone to say, hey, let's do this a certain way?
Every championship team that I've been on, everyone that I've coached, they've all had the same tenets. I mean, so, I bring you in here and you can look around the room. I mean, we're talking about the same things every day. I mean, our mission, our standards, it doesn't change. They hear it every single day, and these tenets are what every championship football team I've ever had has had these tenets. And so, we didn't just read a good book over the summer and say, hey, let's lay these tenets down. They've been part of every championship that I've been, and so that's why they're so important to what we talk about, and then the standard in what we demand on a day-to-day basis.
Brian, you said that you had to push back spring practice because they just were not ready for it yet, but it's a quick 90-minute sample. How much do you think the extended time really showed in their performance today?
It was helpful, yeah, giving us a little bit more time with them. And I will tell you where it helped us a little bit too is getting more guys back on the field. We only had 2 players today, 2, that were on scholarship that did not participate. Kayshawn and Major Burns, that's it. Everybody else was in some kind of, participation, whether it could be limited in some fashion, but just to have 2 guys based upon where we were, back in, January when I sat in Bo's office and looked at the board going, I don't know how we're going to do this. To get to 2 and Major's moving around and Kayshawn obviously is going to get healthy. So I think it was the prudent move to push it back.
Watching Matt House in the defense today, it seemed like a lot of energy. What does he bring to that side of the ball, and what did you see from the group?
I'm sorry, who?
Matt House.
Oh, yeah. I think he just he doesn't overcomplicate it, right? I mean, look, you've got to be great in third down. You've got to be a great situational defense. You've got to mix things up. I don't want to dumb this down in any shape or form because I think we all I don't want to – everybody knows football in here, right? But you still have to get energy. You have to get guys – run into the football, and there has to be a simplicity to that. And so the way he teaches, the way he communicates, he can get to that line quickly with the kids. And on day one, you could see that. If you were out there for any of the practice, you could see there's a great energy. And look, his record speaks for itself. He's been able to do it, wherever he's been a defensive coordinator. And I saw it today. Great energy on the defensive side of the ball. Thanks. Appreciate it.